Hi, I'm Paul Brodie. We're in my shop. There's a mystery man, Mitch, behind the camera. Thank you, Mitch. We're back on Aermacchis here now. So I own Aermacchis. I own 3 of them, but it was more than that for a while. I had a little business called Aermacchi Northwest, and I started that in 1999, and that ran till 2005 when my race bike got stolen. Then I kind of switched over to something else. We'll get into that. And so, yeah, I did an awful lot of Aermacchi stuff. I sold race parts. I was road racing. I was making parts. I was known locally as the Aermacchi guy. Some of the viewers were asking about the frame and if there was a video on how the frame got made, and no, we don't have a video, but if you go to this link, if you type in this on a Google, you'll find a website which pops up, and it's got a drawing of this frame, and there's other drawings of other Aermacchi frames too. So if you want information on Aermacchi race frames, that's the place to go. We're going to work on the wheel today. This is the rear wheel. It's a Honda hub. It's kind of heavy, but we're gonna hack the spokes off, get the rest of the spokes out there. We're gonna clean it up, gonna drill some holes, modify the Cush drive, make some axle adjusters. So let's get going. There we go. I get to use my cutoff wheel. I've watched lots of YouTube videos with sparks flying, and now it's my turn a little bit. Got some welding gloves, safety third. One hub. I want to weigh the hub as well, so that when we drill holes in it, I can tell you how much weight we saved, because this is a bit of a chunky hub. I'm quite aware of that, but it's got the right size axle. It's 20 millimeters, which is good. That fits right on the swing arm, and it's got a nice Cush drive, so we're going to use it. I was at a shop and they said, "Do you need a solvent tank used?" I said, "Sure." So this was basically free. I was making space for somebody. Looks like the dirt's coming off pretty nicely. That's good. We'll get the scale here and we'll see how much this big porky hub weighs. Ooh. 3,393 grams. That's pretty heavy, but we're going to save some weight. We're going to drill holes in between the spoke holes. That'll save some weight, and then I can figure out other ways as well. So we need to go to the mill. We're going to use the rotary table. It's a 36 hole hub, so each side is 18. 18 into 36 is 20. Every 20 degrees we're going to drill a hole. That's how you figure it out. So there's the countershaft sprocket right there. It just pops on and off, but when it's all the way in, that's where it's supposed to be. There's a lock washer and a nut that goes on there. I've got a page of notes when I figured out the chain line and the spaces I need to make, that kind of stuff. So I take a straight edge, and this is basically where the sprocket mounts. The sprocket goes against here. So when I do that, so you can see how it's pretty close, but it needs to come out just a little bit. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to get that right. So what I have to do you see here how the hub is hitting the swing arm? I need to remove some metal here. What this holds is a big seal. I'm going to show you the seal, and that's not needed. There's a huge seal. If you're riding off-road, it is a dirt bike and you're doing hundreds, thousands of miles, it's nice to have a seal, but for a road racer that gets used once in a while, you don't need that big seal. So I can cut off some metal there, and then I'm going to make a spacer that goes inside up to the bearing. That's our job today. So I've got a drill here. It's really short, so it's not going to flex. So I think I can just, we're going to try that. See if we can just go straight through with a drill. That seems to work okay. And this is the last one. Okay. I eyeballed it. I'm out 2 thou. That's not bad for an eyeball. Oh, it's so light. Let's go check the weight, because we had a little wager here on how much weight we actually lost. I said to Mitch, how much have we saved? He figured 50 grams and I figured 111. Where I got that number from, I'm not sure, but we're going to find out right now. Okay, we're going to recalibrate. There we go. 3,327. 66 grams. Mitch was closer than I am. Oh well. So there's a lock ring that goes right here, a snap ring. So I just need to leave a shoulder there. So I can take it down to right about there. So I'm going to take off that much metal. And I'm going to do that on the mill. I'm going to put it back in the rotary table. I'm going to have an end mill come in. I'll turn the table around. Because otherwise, to hold this in the mill, in the lathe, well, I'd have to hold it inside the brake drum. I think it'll be easier just in the mill. Let's check the weight savings now. I said 35 grams, Mitch said 70. And now we're at 3,297. So we saved 30 grams. 30 grams. Mitch, you're out. So that's all thinned down now. So now we have to work on the Cush drive, and we have to narrow that. So we're gonna take this to the lathe, and how we hold that, I'm not sure. We have to narrow this down here. Maybe it's a milling operation again. Maybe I need to hold it on the table, and let's go check it out. We'll see what's happening. You can see how it's held. Can you see that? It's holding that face inside. And that's a steel face because that's part of how the Cush drive works. It's steel on steel, so it doesn't wear. So that's good. That'll work fine. I got new inserts. I'd like to thank Silvio for a box of inserts. Thank you. Okay, so this is a little lower than that, but that's fine. This is what goes in here. There's a steel washer. It's quite big. And then there's a huge snap ring. That's what holds this on. I've done my calculations. I have a sketch and I have a piece of metal. This is the axle spacer that's going to go, actually right here. This is the actual spacer that goes from here on the bearing surface out to the swing arm. So let's go to the lathe and let's make a few bits of metal chips. So how are we doing for size here? Okay, we're up by 12. So if I move this in 6, that'll take off 12. I'm going to work on the shoulder here now. I've got a radius here, and I know that this is 200 thou across here. I didn't mark it in. 950, so I need to go up 750. So I'm going to mark that. So I'll take a few cuts with this tool, then I'm going to switch tools. So this is a carbide tool, and it's, I think it's 3/8. I made the tool holder so I could save some money, and it's worked fine. So I think what I'll do now is I'll cut that off with a hacksaw. It's too close for a potting tool, and I don't like to pot that large amount. Then we'll face it off and we'll bore out the inside. If I hold this in the drawers, I put little marks in there, especially if I clamp it really tight. But if I take a little bit of card, this is just a file folder. You can use a cereal box, doesn't matter. You can hold it quite hard and it won't make any marks. So, good little trick. Okay, I got my little boring bar here, and we're going to take out a little bit of metal. So -3, so if I take one more cut and don't move the tool, let's see how that works. That might just do it. I like that. I'm a zero sort of guy. So let's go see if it all fits now. It's another mock-up stage where you put things together and you check things out and then you see how you're doing. That's the spacer. It looks like the bolts come really, really close, but that's okay. See how close the bolts are? I can always shorten them just a touch. We're going to make axle adjusters that look like this, but for a larger axle. A 20 millimeter axle. These are for 15 millimeter axles. So, got some metal. Look at that for a great drawing. And it needs to be about that long to get two pieces. So there we go. That's how far in it's going to go. So I have to mount the tool right about up to there. If it hangs out too much, you get too much vibration. I need two more tool holders, and I am going to buy them, but they're about $250 each for a tool holder. So I'm kind of putting them off. I want them to go on sale. So I told the tool supply place, when they go on sale, you phone me, okay? There hasn't been a phone call yet. That's close enough. So I'm going to make a mark here, and then I'll take the tool and make a groove, and then it's easy to follow with the hacksaw, the bandsaw. That's too much for me to part off. I don't like parting it off, because the problem with parting it off is that you got to get the oil down into where the tool is cutting. And when you go down really deep, you can't get the brush right down to the base of where the tool is cutting. So then if the tool goes dry and picks up, then you have a problem. So it's just easy to use a bandsaw. I know other people have said, well, how come you don't part it off? Well, that's why. There's a risk involved, that's why. So now I just follow that line with the bandsaw, and that doesn't take, it takes very little time. I'll face this, make another mark, another hacksaw, face them both, and then we're in the mill. Okay, we're going to set up the mill, drill some holes for the axle adjuster. See how I changed the size on the drill? I ground it down so it becomes a 9mm tap drill for a 10mm by 1 thread I'd like to dedicate this part of the video to the viewer that said I talk too much and that he just wants to watch me make things. So this is for him. I don't want the thread to go all the way through because when I screw in the ready rod, I want it to snug up against the inside so it doesn't go all the way through. So I'm going to go to the bench vise now and do a little tapping on that. See how the tap is flush with the ID? That's what I want, so I won't go farther. I got a scraper that's made out of a three-cornered file, a triangular file, and this is good for getting inside there and taking the burrs out. I've got the threaded ready rod. It's 10 by 1 fine thread, so we'll start it in here. And I made up a nut that's welded onto something so that that goes in like that. And then I can crank this down. I don't want to make it super tight, but there we go, it's installed. Now we just have to mill that out. If these were going in for the final time, I'd be adding some Loctite, but I'm not. I might get them anodized. Make them look fancy. So there's the axle adjust. It's the fixture. This is the spacer for the larger axle size. And then that goes on like, that should fit. It looks like, oh no, there it goes. I just had it crooked. So it fits in nicely like that. And then we'll set up the mill again with the rotary table. And the jaws are going to hold 1, 2, 3 like that, and we'll spin that around with a 5/8 ball end mill, make it look fancy. Something like that. That's about where I want to go to. This is eyeball, ichrometer. So that's where it's going to go to. Okay. This is what I'm using. It's a 5/8 end mill. It's got a ball nose to it, so it's going to make a nice scoop, and it's quite new and sharp. Hopefully it does a very nice job. Okay, so there's 50, and I'm going to back it up this way until I get to my line. And I'll go around. So that's what it looks like. That one looks nice. I'll take that. So I'll just take off the burrs and then we'll put them on the bike and see what they look like. Okay, we'll do a quick installation, see what they look like. Zinc plated nuts. do have a nut. I don't have a washer, and this is one of those self-locking, so it's not going to go on real smooth. Yeah, I need a washer under there. But that's basically what's happened today. And there's a nice space there for a nice fat washer, so I will work on that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you've enjoyed it. Mitch and I like coffee. If you buy us coffee, that'd be great. Thanks. We'll see you next week. Stay safe. I just want to show you my new artwork. I've got a photograph from my friend Brodie McCore. I've known him for a long time, so if you get the light just right. He took that shot back in 1980. And I can't remember that guy's name, but I just like that shot.